Hi everyone, Nick Pecos here with the Pecos Aesthetic. I don't think I've ever done like a shop tour video. Maybe I should do something like that in the future, but this is my shop. And today I wanted to do a tool review video. So this is a tool I use a lot, pretty much every day when I'm in the shop, and I thought it would be helpful if I did a review of this tool. Not only of the features that I think are just good features in general that you probably get with most compound miter saws, but features I like that are specific to this saw. And then I also want to go on different upgrades and add-ons that you can do to make the saw more useful and more productive in your own shop. And I'm going to put a link in the description to all of the add-ons and stuff that I talk about. And yeah, as always, if you like the video, you find it helpful, please subscribe, like, watch the video. That'd be super helpful. Really trying to establish myself on YouTube and gain a following so I can do more videos like this, and I can't do it without the support of you guys, so thank you so much. So without further ado, let's get into the Bosch compound miter saw. So this is the Bosch compound miter saw. I used to use the compound miter saw that was made by Dewalt, and it worked relatively well. It gave me square cuts. It was a good usable saw, and it was 350, 400, something like that. It's a good option if you don't have space saving requirements. The reason I love this saw so much is this axial glide system that is patented by Bosch. But this is what I'm referring to, this axial glide system. And you can see it lets you slide out and make a cut up to 14 inches long. With the tool, with it all the way back, you can cut at a depth of 6 1/4 inches. But because it's got this cool axial glide system, you can have it very close to the wall, which I needed because I don't have a huge shop and I needed the space saving benefit of that feature. Most compound miter saws will have a 12-inch to 18-inch bar that goes behind the saw that the saw slides on. That's what gives it the ability to make longer cross cuts. But the problem with that is you have to have it, like my old Cobalt saw was this far away from the wall, which meant this whole miter saw station was this far out. You see my planers right here, it just didn't work for me. So I got this sucker, and it works perfectly with the exception of me occasionally bumping my butt on this thing, which hurts incredibly bad. But other than that, it works really good. So another feature I like is the trigger that's on this. And if any of you have a shop or use tools and you have little ones running around, you're going to like this feature too. Most saws have this safety feature, so this isn't necessarily unique, but the handle and safety feature, the way they have it set up is unique to this saw, so I like it. So this safety feature is this little red bar underneath here. You can push it either to the left or to the right, but that has to be pushed to the side in order for the saw to engage. So I have my saw hooked up to an automatic dust collector too, so every time I hit the trigger on this, that thing's going to go off. But so this has to be pushed to the left or right, and then you can engage the saw. But I really just like the feel of this trigger. It just works well for me. I can't really describe why I like it, but it's just comfortable. It makes cutting easy, and I really like that feature. Another thing I really enjoy about this saw is the price point. So you're probably, if you've done woodworking for a while, you've probably heard about Fez Tools Capex miter saw, and I'm sure it works fantabulous. All of their tools are really good. But their prices are also extremely high. Sometimes it's worth it because they make a tool that nobody else makes. In this case, this saw, the accuracy you get from it, the repeatability, the performance is just as good as the Capex, and it's less than half the price. So this saw clocks in at $649 if you go to Lowe's, and if you're an Amazon Prime member, which I am because I buy a bunch of stuff on Amazon Prime for the shop, it's $549. So it's way more reasonable than the Capex saw. I think the Capex saw is $1,500 or $1,300, something like that. It's ridiculous. So the price point of this is great. Another feature I like, and again, you'll get this on most miter saws is the fact that it runs, you can run it off a 15 amp circuit. So that means you can run it off 120 volt circuit, which is good. 220 requires you to have a special outlet. This is the 220 outlet. This is hooked up to the planer. I don't know how to do that myself. If you do, then you don't need to worry about it. But if you don't know how to do electrical installation and you have to install 220 outlets all over your shop, it can be a pain in the butt. So the fact that this runs off 15 amps is great. Like I said, most miter saws do, but that's still a good feature. The other thing I like about this saw is it's got this feature on this side. If you could come around and show this to them. So it's got this on the side. Some saws have this, some saws don't. But if you make a lot of dados, rabbets, things like that, this feature is really good. This can really help you out. So in order to make this saw make repeated cuts at the exact same height, you can see this little mechanism here. It's got this little hole in the middle. So right now the way it's set up, when I go down, that screw goes through the hole. It cuts normally. If I slide this off to the side and go to do that again, now it's stopping here at this predetermined height. And you can set whatever height you want by adjusting how low or high this screw is. And what that lets you do is make a cut that's uniform all the way across. So like I said, you can do dados, rabbets, what other application you can think of, but that's a really handy feature. Some saws have it, some saws don't. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the miter adjustments and the bevel adjustments on this thing. Some saws are a pain in the butt. The Cobalt was this way when I wanted to do bevel cuts. It was just a pain in the butt to I had to go reach behind the saw, unlock this thing, do all this stuff. It was just a pain in the butt. The controls for this saw are all up front. So if you want to change the miter cut, first of all, it's got automatic locks at 15 degrees, 22.5, 31.6, and 45. So that's helpful. And then you can also lock it, at whatever degree you want. But you just unlock this knob here, press up on this red button, and then the saw is sliding. So if I want to go to 15 degrees, I don't even have to do it. I just go to 15. The saw locks. I know I'm at exactly 15 degrees. It's got this little tool over here that shows you exactly where you are. So that's a really easy feature. Also locks back at 0. You can make up to 50 degrees on the right, 60 degrees on the left. I've never had a need to go over that. So that's really good. And then the other thing is the bevel adjustment. So with the bevel cuts, all you have to do is unlock this lever over here. You pull up on this lock. It's pretty tight. Say I want to go to the right. See this knob here? It says 0.45 right, 0.45 left. I put that to the right. Okay, now I can move the saw however far I want to the right. It'll go down, do a stop at 30 degrees, and you just got to pull this lock out, and you can go all the way down to 45. And then, of course, lock it in position to go back. Again, you pull up, and it automatically stops at 0 degrees, and then you just lock it. If I want to go the other way, unlock it, put it to the left. Now I can slide the saw to the left. Again, stops at 30 degrees. Pull this out, it's detent. I can go all the way down to 45. Pull it to come back to 0. And it'll automatically lock it at 0. Lock it back in position. So it's really quick, really easy to use. So real quick, I just want to go on add-ons that I've done to my saw that might help you in your own shop. A couple of them I've talked about, a couple of them I haven't. So the first one is a zero clearance insert. You can make them or you can buy them off Etsy. I bought this one, but you can also buy a file and make your own. This does exactly what it says it does. It lets you come down and cut the saw with zero clearance on either side of the blade. Reduces the fuzz that you get when you have a cut. The other thing that also helps reduce the fuzz is having a good blade. So this is a 12-inch blade on this saw, and the blade that the saw comes with is decent, but not great. This is a Chopmaster blade made by a tool company called Forest Tools. This has an 80 teeth count. It's specifically designed for cross-cutting. This blade by itself is about $200, so it is pricey. but this blade is amazing. And what's even cooler about Forest Tools, when you buy blades from them, you can send the blades back. They have a cleaning service, so if it's gunking up every couple of months, send it back to them. It's cheap to have them clean it. They send it right back to you, and you're back in business. So this is a very good add-on feature, is a good cross-cut blade. The other thing is a good repeatability system. So that's the whole reason I have this miter saw station here, is for the repeatable cuts. Yes, it gives me a lot of storage, which is really fun, but the repeatability of cuts is really what makes it awesome. So if you could come over here and show them this. I have a T-track in here. It's called a T-track because the track is just shaped like a T. And then I have this stop block, which just has a nut nip, but you can buy T-track specific nuts. And I'm going to link that in the description. So what this does is it slides into the T-track, and say I want to make a cut right here. I slide this up, I lock it in place, I make my cut. And then if I had another board that was longer, I know if I put the board back on here, it's going to be exactly the same size cut. So this T-track feature is awesome. It lets you do repeatable cuts up to 5 feet. This table's 4 feet long. You got about a foot with the saw, so about 5 feet. And I've even added an extension on this table so I could make cuts up to 15 feet if I wanted to. But it's very simple. I'll post a link in the description on where to get all this stuff so you can set it up on your own shop. The last feature is the laser. So currently I need to replace the batteries on my laser, so it's not working, but if you can come in and show this real quick. There's a laser I got. You can get it off Amazon. It's like 20 bucks. It attaches right to the arbor of the saw. And when it's working properly, when I hit the trigger and turn on the saw, it shoots out a laser that lines up perfectly with the teeth of the blade, and making the adjustments is very easy. So when I go to make a cut, I turn on the saw and a laser shows me exactly where my blade's going to cut. It's super handy if you're trying to get exactly on a line. That way you don't have to put the saw down, see where the teeth are going, all that stuff. You can just see on the laser exactly where your cut's going to be. So I'll put a link to that in the description as well. So just showing you real quick the accuracy of the saw. If you could come over here and get a shot of this. I'm taking a board that's already square. So I know it's square to begin with. I'm just going to do a quick cut and show you the accuracy of the saw. Also just show you the action of the axial glide system. So I make my cut, put my square on, and you can see it's dead on, perfectly square. And I've not had to do any tinkering since I bought this thing. My old compound miter saw Cobalt, I had to tinker with all the time to get the cuts accurate. This thing's been accurate out of the box for over a year. That is pretty much it. Overall, definitely highly recommend this saw. Been using it for a year. I love it. It's cheap, it's affordable, it works great. So I highly recommend it for your shops. If any questions come up, any comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out in the comment section, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.